สวัสดีครับทุกๆคนผมชื่อโจนาธานผมเป็นทนายความอยู่ที่อเมริกาเป็นทนายเกี่ยวกับimmigration เมื่อก่อนผมก็อยู่เมืองไทยหลายปีแต่กลับประเทศประมาณ20กว่าปีแล้วแต่ผมมาเที่ยวเมืองไทยทุกปีวันนี้ผมก็จะอยากคุยเกี่ยวกับกฎหมายอยากคุยก่อนมาถึงทำงานวันนี้เกี่ยวกับกฎหมายอยู่ที่อเมริกา As everybody is aware, the United States is in a partial shutdown at this time. Government offices are starting to open, and businesses also are starting to open up at this time, which is nice. Immigration courts, however, really never closed. They were the only courts that really remained open throughout this entire pandemic shutdown. The immigration courts that were hearing live cases were the ones that handled cases for detained individuals, meaning people that were being held by immigration without bond. And in most cases, people should get bond and not held in jail by immigration because immigration is not under any sort of criminal statute. It's under the civil side of law in the United States. But there are people that the immigration courts do hold in jail during the time that their case is pending. And those are individuals that the judge has determined are either a flight risk, meaning that they don't think that they're going to come to court, or that they are a danger to the community. And that generally is for individuals who have gotten into trouble with the law. Unfortunately, and I'll talk about this another day, but many judges hang their hat on that peg for rather minor offenses that really don't lead to one drawing a conclusion that one is a danger to the community. And they also hang their hat on that for people who have been arrested for an offense but have not yet been convicted of that offense, which really flies in the face of due process under U.S. law, especially if the individual received a bond for that criminal offense from the criminal court. But again, for another day. The immigration courts that are handling detained cases will run the entire case during this pandemic, and they've been doing it remotely. Just yesterday I had a case for an individual that was detained in Cambria County, which is in the eastern portion of Pennsylvania. I'm based in Cleveland, Ohio. The immigration judge was in Philadelphia, and I believe that the government lawyer, district counsel, was located in York, Pennsylvania. That is an area about 2-3 hours away from Cambria County. And I also had witnesses that were in Long Island, New York, as well as in the state of Virginia. So under normal circumstances, everybody would be sitting together in the courtroom. Maybe the lone exception would be the actual detainee. Some courts bring them in for their final court session. Other courts just have them appear through televideo. Again, an issue to discuss on a different day. But the way that it works during the coronavirus shutdown is everybody attends remotely. So the judge initiates the secure contacts between myself, the government lawyer, and the jail where the respondent, the detainee, is being housed. Once those connections are made, the court proceeding takes place in traditional fashion. The judge will review the documents and exhibits that have been filed. They'll do that for both sides, both for the respondent, the detainee side, the immigrant side, as well as the government. The judge will then ask if anyone has any objections to those documents being admitted. And once that pretrial business is taken care of, the judge will allow me to start presenting my case. So my decision yesterday was to call the respondent first, and we engaged the respondent yesterday in direct examination, lasting approximately 2 hours, where we were able to lay out our bases for our client qualifying for relief from being deported, and also explaining the issues that he has going back to his country. The government then had an opportunity to cross-examine the witness, which they concluded in about 45 minutes. And at that point, we were free to call our witnesses. The witnesses testified, and we presented closing arguments. And ultimately, the judge needed some additional time to decide the outcome of the case, so we don't know what it is yet, which I view as a positive at this point in time, because right now in immigration courts throughout the United States, there's a very high level of denial. And in many cases, the courts will just tell you lose straight off the bat. So I feel we have a good footing at this point. What I wanted to really get into was both the pros and cons of these hearings taking place as they are taking place telephonically. The positive is that cases continue to move forward in the immigration court. And this is especially important for clients that are detained. Nobody wants to be in jail any longer than they have to. And nobody wants to be in jail for something in which a criminal court did not sentence them to. So in essence, these people are sitting in jail for crimes they have not been convicted of, or in which a court has already convicted them of and decided not to put them in jail. So on a positive side, these people are having their day in court quickly, and the cases can move forward, and nobody has to spend any additional unnecessary time in detention. I use the word detention very loosely. It's not like school detention where you go into a room and sit behind a desk. I mean, it's prison. Lousy food, locked up, no activities, lots of noise. You don't want to be there. It's also positive because the caseload for the courts are very heavy. They're backlogged significantly. So it's good that the cases keep moving forward for the courts and the judges to move cases along. From my standpoint, I think there's a positive in that it keeps our trial skills sharp. Having to sit out for a few months, you might get a little soft. You might not be as quick on your toes as you would be in the courtroom under traditional scheduling. On the con side, of course, there's a couple of issues that I have with performing individual hearings telephonically. And overall, I don't like doing it. Number one, it's very difficult as an attorney to gather rhythm and maintain that rhythm throughout the proceedings when you're sitting at your dining room table wearing sweatpants, and you are unable to really gauge the progress of things going on inside the court. You're unable to see the judge's facial expressions when certain comments are made or questions asked. You're unable to see how the government lawyer is reacting to these same comments. You can't see how your client's doing. When you're normally in court, you can gauge all of these things. My client's stressing out over this question. This is something that I might need to rehabilitate during redirect. The judge really looked interested during that line of questioning. Maybe I should focus on that during closing. We lose that entire element. And that's a significant negative for a trial attorney. We also, are not able to communicate with our client during the hearing. Many times when something pops up or you hear some question asked or theory proposed, you're able to lean over and ask your client a question for clarification. Of course, you're not able to do that So you lose that element of the case. And finally, and something that many people don't think about, you're unable to view documents that are filed last minute in the case, or by chance there's a document that you don't have with you that the court references that you're unable to review in the government's file or the court's file because you can't ask anybody for that. So there's, in my opinion, the cons outweigh the pros of moving these cases forward. Now, what the government has done is they've delayed all the cases for individuals that are not detained. So there are no immigration deportation cases going on right now involving individuals that are not detained. Those cases have been kicked out as of today, which is May the 18th. They are kicked out until June the 12th. And we'll probably receive notice at that time whether or not they're going to reopen immigration courts at that time or not. There's lots of things to talk about. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please subscribe. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be glad to answer them for you. And we'll be talking very soon. Thanks. Take care.